to the left, to the left, to the right. Like a quick thing and then ask you the first question because it's perfect.
Because I don't know of any of these questions. You've had a chance to look at them first.
I didn't like think about the answers, but I have seen the questions.
Okay.
All right, you guys asked, so we are going to answer. On my Instagram recently, I put up a box for a Q&A because I wanted to film a video. I feel like we get a lot of questions on a regular basis, so I felt like this would be a great way to answer a bunch of them in one setting. I said anything personal, anything fun, anything business related. What are your questions? So
it's a pretty wide gamut there.
It is. We've got some really good questions about our business, questions about our relationship, family, skill sets, sales. So you definitely want to stick around to the full thing. I'm even going to have a couple updates that I just want to inquire about because I know you guys are wondering too. So let's get started because we don't want this to be forever, which this could take a minute. So hopefully you bullet point this one. How did you and Jeff meet?
We met on a long drive together.
True, this is true.
Yeah, about a 3-hour drive. We were both headed to a business conference for training, and I was asked if I could give this lovely young lady next to me a ride. And so we had 3 hours to talk and get to know one another, and became good friends and business partners, so working together.
But no, just friends at this point.
Right. No
because
dating.
Jeff was dating somebody else at this point.
Correct. Yes, there was definitely chemistry, but there was no romantic anything at that point. Because we both knew we were both otherwise spoken for.
No, I was single at that point, but it was, for me, I was in my early 20s. I had just gotten out of some pretty rough relationships and just a season of my life where I realized I needed to focus on regaining who is Ashley and standing on my own 2 feet. And so doing the business, which was a network marketing business at the time, I just was so focused on building that and rekindling the family relationship. It was a rough relationship, so I wanted to mend that. So we both were on 2 different paths, but that is how it started.
And I will say, that was the fastest 3-hour drive I think I've ever taken. Not because we were driving fast, it just went fast.
You want to know what the caveat of all of it is he picked me up. So we both were under same mentor. We were on 2 different, network marketing,
we were cousins.
Yeah, we were cousins in the business. So it worked well because we would help each other out in business, but our mentor was the same. And the mentor actually lived in the house we are sitting in right now. And you picked me up at her house.
At the front doorstep.
And so she moved and Jeff ended up purchasing this home. And I used to house clean for this mentor. So this house was like a dream of mine. It was beautiful. It was overlooking the river. It was like a dream. And it's kind of crazy how so much was brought together. So fast forward from that point, a year later, Jeff is no longer with the person that he's with. We both have saw each other at different events, say hi, bye really quick. One day, I think, did I reach out to you saying, I just want to restart this area. Our mentor obviously had moved away at that point because he was living in this home. And I was like, I just want to get momentum back in this area. Let's meet up and talk. So I came over after teaching a Zumba class, and it was the eve of him going back to work, which you were on 72-hour shifts?
Right, with the fire department.
I
was set to go to work the next morning. I had to leave at 6 o'clock in the morning. And
I came over at 8.
Yeah, and we talked about everything but business. About 2 o'clock in the morning, I think I was like, I hate to break this off, but I got to go to bed. I got to get up in the morning. And about the time she walked out the door, I was kind of scratching my head going, what was that? What just happened?
And I was doing the same. What really stood out to the both of us, which then the following day we proceeded to talk pretty much the whole day. The whole weekend. What really stood out to me was a lot of the principles, a lot of the things that I stood for, a lot of the things that I wanted to have in a family really seemed to just line up. with Jeff. And that was what I think both of us walking away from that initial conversation, it was like, what is here? Because we both in that conversation said we didn't want a relationship. We were very focused on our own things at that time, but we realized what mattered most to us was very, very similar. We got to the end of that weekend and said, okay, clearly we need to have a conversation, because there are things that if we say we want to pursue this as a relationship, there are going to be some things that people say, well, what about this? So as you guys, if you've been following us for a while, we have a total of 8 kids, but that's because Jeff had 5 from a previous marriage. So that was one of the first conversations we had was...
Side note, 8 is enough.
This is true. This is true. We are done. That's not a question on here, but if you want to know, we are done. One of the first questions was, hey, Ashley, how do you feel about the fact that I have 5 kids? And then I was like, well, how do you feel about if we get married someday, I want to have kids? And then the third question was, clearly there's an age difference between us.
No, there's not.
Are we okay with the age difference? And so when we could very confidently say we were okay with all those things, we proceeded in a relationship, which was good because we did have people come to us and go like, hey, Ashley, did you know? And I'm like, yeah, of course I did. Not even a year later, we were married.
We weren't messing around. We were going to date each other. It was like going in a specific direction towards marriage.
We are going to be 10 years married in June.
Yep.
So it's been a very exciting journey.
Absolutely.
So the question too from that same person is, what's your go-to coffee drink? So I'm not a big coffee drinker. Typically, if I drink
Neither am I.
If I drink coffee, if I drink too much caffeine, actually, I start to get really bad like spasms in my back for some reason. I just feel very dehydrated and it puts me to sleep. So I will typically drink Spark, which is just helps with mental focus. But if I am going to drink something coffee, I typically start to feel that desire around fall, winter-ish time. My favorite drink in the winter is a white chocolate peppermint mocha. I love anything peppermint. What about you?
I'm simple. Not much of a coffee drinker. I used to be more of a coffee drinker. Always just kind of been the standard vanilla cappuccino gas station guy. You know, the kind that when you pull into the truck stop or the Shell station and they've got the machine that puts out the vanilla cappuccino.
Yeah.
That and extra sweetener and more vanilla creamer, and you know, if it tastes too much like coffee, it's not my thing. So
my dad used to take us to gas stations and I would sometimes do that, but I would like almost the slushy status where I would push like every single one of them, make it a little bit of everything. And I think for some reason in my brain, I thought I was making it sweeter. I don't know. But I do remember doing that.
Pow!
Do your older kids live with you full time?
At this point, we are kidless of the older kids. They have all moved out. Yeah, they have all moved out. Some are going on with their adult lives. We've got one that's still in high school, finishing her senior year this year, and yeah, they're all still in the area, but not living with us. So it's been a big transition this year.
Well, I just feel like the last 4 years, it's been weird to have one leave the nest because they've graduated high school and moving on to a different town, and some have moved away, some have moved to the East Coast, some have moved to the West Coast, some have moved back. So right now, this timeline, everyone is local, and it's been cool to see them flourish, but it has been such an interesting transition. We were talking about how this year is our 10-year anniversary, but this is the first year that we're really seeing a season shift where the 5 older ones we've now raised, and we have the 3 younger ones that are coming into the age where we can do more fun things with them. You know, trying to go camping with an 18-month-old is a very difficult task. So now that they are like 5, 7, and 9, it's fun. It just makes for a lot of fun opportunities and adventures. What is your favorite reselling task to do as a couple?
Oh, definitely sourcing.
I told you guys.
Because then we get to go out to lunch together.
This is true. It's like a
date. Out to dinner together. We stay overnight in a hotel sometimes. You know, we get to discuss the treasure hunt finds for the day. What were your favorite things? We love treasure hunting together, exploring new places. I mean, hands down, that is the most fun we get to have.
Yeah.
As funny as it sounds, I think my second favorite task to do is shipping.
I
I like
actually
packing things into, like making them fit into the envelopes. Ashley will challenge me on a regular basis, like, can this fit into a flat rate envelope?
Mhm.
And I look at it and, well,
maybe.
yeah, I'll make it work.
Yeah.
We'll see. And sure enough, but yeah, she challenges me on what can we get stuff into. And
I'll put a picture up here of what those flat rate boxes or envelopes look like. It's obviously on eBay that we're shipping in those. They're the cheapest ways if something's over £1. And so yes, very regularly I ask him, will this pair of large jeans or a hoodie sweater fit in a legal flat rate?
If you want to see how we do that, so you can learn how to do that tip, just put it in the comments below.
Yeah,
we can show you how to do that. But
I have gotten a couple questions about like, have I do like ship with me videos. If you guys are interested in some of those, leave a comment, like he said, because I do think that there are shipping abilities that I have, but Jeff takes it to a whole new level, which is why this year we're focusing on more general merchandise, because the stuff sells fast, but is hard to ship. It's a knack for sure.
If you were in the military, or you're married to someone who's in the military or family, you understand what a ranger role is. And if you don't, just ask someone who is, and you'll understand packing. Yeah.
Okay, so I would say kind of the same as Jeff. I think I enjoy shipping because we're doing it together, even though we have different roles that we'll play with shipping. I like doing that together. And then I think not just sourcing, I think I just really love our road trips. I'm a big road trip fan. I love trying new foods. I like having the additional 24 plus hours together where we have uninterrupted conversations.
I was just thinking that. The drive there and the drive back, we usually get to talk. And you know,
which goes back to how we first met.
Right.
And we just always really enjoyed that.
All the drives seem to go fast, so that's a good thing.
Best sale of 2022 so far. What's your favorite?
Oh, the hunting blind.
Oh, that's right.
The $30 hunting blind that sold. I mean, that actually might not have been the best sale. We've had some good ones though.
I think you asked me just recently what was my favorite recent sale. And I just recently, the video probably will go up after this, but I recently went to Plato's Closet and I only grabbed 2 things out of there. One was for me and one was to sell. And it was a Driftwood brand, like pair of jeans. And I'd never heard of that brand before. I was able to check comps. Comps looked really good, but they sold within 24 hours for $70 plus shipping. There's a multitude of things. Number one, it sold for a really good price. But number 2, I was able to check comps and know that it was going to sell fairly well. And I only walked out of that store with 1 item, but it was a really valuable item. And to me, that was a testament of what we want to do this year.
Right.
We want to be more cherry picking with the items that we're getting and then have better average sales prices. So I think that's why I like that sale. What was your biggest takeaway from 2021?
I'm going to defer to you on that one to go first.
To go first?
Yeah,
okay.
Biggest takeaway from 21.
Yeah, this is one that I have thought about because I thought about what, if I were to create a video about 2021, what would I say? Business-wise, we saw growth. Through social media, we saw growth. It was the first year that I had been monetized on YouTube, first year I'd been monetized on Instagram. And so that was exciting to see growth just with everything that we've put effort into. But personally, I feel like I grew a lot. And the biggest takeaway that I have from 2021 was how much our relationship and our family means to us, or means to me, and how I don't want to build this without that. Because if you don't know, Jeff ended up totally unexpected, went on wildland firefighting last year. We anticipated him maybe doing fire season for 2 months. He ended up being gone for 4 months. He would come home pretty much in between fires and then get immediately called back out again. Enough time for him to like wash his clothes and then be back out. And I remember one specific week, I had gotten asked to speak at Posh Fest. I had hit a threshold, I think on Instagram, and I had gotten asked to do a Instagram live, like be interviewed with another company. And I couldn't celebrate with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't even call him. And I just remember thinking that week, like I was having this high success, but I didn't even want it. It felt so wrong to be hitting levels like without you there, that I almost wanted to quit. At that point, I was like...
You sounded kind of depressed on one or two of those calls as you were telling me about the exciting milestones.
Like it didn't feel right. We couldn't celebrate together. We can't, because we've built this together. And it made me really think about the people that you hear that like lose their families when they become like billionaires or like have successful businesses. And it just put me in check. It was like, I don't ever want to lose my family or to lose our relationship chasing after something. It just helped me prospectively see what matters most. Like I knew that, but having that experience really exemplified that even more. And so I felt like this year it helped me properly set goals, because I can really narrow focus and go hard and say no to a lot of things. So that way we can have more financial future. But I don't want to sacrifice what we have right now and like the ages that our kids are, just to achieve those goals.
Good answer.
That was mine.
Well, and you may think that mine kind of comes from your answer, but actually I had already thought of it. It's just kind of encouraging that really kind of your takeaway was very similar to mine, maybe just expressed a little differently. Because of fire season and being gone for 4 months, because you really started doing this full time in 2019, there was a process in 2020 of me kind of wrapping my head around why Ashley was pursuing this business, and understanding that it wasn't just because it was something you wanted to do, but it was something to do for us.
To accomplish goals.
And I think that
together.
part of that was in 2019, but then moving into 2020 and really kind of figuring out, where do I fit into this? And then of course, COVID and everything, but really being away for 4 months really solidified to me that, you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. And just like you, though I can do those things separate from you, I really don't want to. My heart is to be able to, whatever we're going to build, I want to build it together.
Right.
And whatever we're going to do, I want to do it together. If we have to make those, sacrifices from time to time in seasons and do things, where it's like, hey, we're kind of dividing and conquering, I know we can do that, but that's certainly not my first choice.
It's not in our nature.
No, I definitely have come to understand it, how much I truly appreciate and enjoy every minute of everything we get to do together. That's really, I think, was my big takeaway.
What is each other's strongest business skills? We kind of touched on that, but not fully.
No. Should we speak for ourselves or for the other person?
That's a good question. You can speak about mine and I can speak about yours.
Okay. Well, definitely Ashley has got the social media thing down. Hands down. It is not my forte.
It is my happy place.
Learning to become camera friendly.
Is he doing well, guys? Shake up the nerves.
Am I sweating yet?
Slammed.
So I think from that standpoint, you have always loved the creativity, the marketing, the social media, all of those aspects. And I think in today's day and age, whatever business you're doing needs that. And because we really want to see income coming in from different streams of income, if you will, I think it's a really necessary thing that I've definitely learned that is your strength. And I can come alongside you and help, but don't plan for me to like steer this ship. You need to steer this ship, and I can help row. But
be the manpower.
Right. So that's definitely one of the areas, and hands down when it comes to the clothing, that we got our start with clothing.
Right.
You took off and learned the brands and the trends, and you have an eye for fashion and all of those things way better than I do. So I've learned a tremendous amount from you. I think you have a great merchandise understanding basis of knowledge in that regard that I just don't possess in clothing and fashion. And then all of the administrative skills, you are way better. If it's the computer stuff, if it's the Excel spreadsheets, if it those are not my thing. I'm slowly learning, but yeah. So I think those are some things you really shine in.
Which is funny that he says the administration part, because I do it because I have to, not because I want to, which I think probably everyone who's watching this, if you're a reseller, you're probably shaking your head right now. Like, no one wants to do the administrative part at all, but it's a necessity and it's a part that helps us. I will take that back. I do know there are friends that love analytics and geek out on that and love seeing all the stats, and so they love the inputting aspects. But anything that I can do to automate that portion, which we're also taking a look at more this year, really is beneficial for me, for our business.
Right.
But I do it, and I do have the skill sets. You are correct. With you, I jokingly say this, but I'm also quite serious. He's a better reseller than I am. Like, he makes the money go so far. He has such great understanding of quality. I remember when we first got started, like, I was trying to teach him the brands, and he'd walk over to me. Like, I remember specifically there was this purse one time. You brought it over, and I was like, this is a great brand. Like, how did you know this? And you were like, I just touched it. The quality felt like leather. And so you've always had understanding of materials, even though, like, I came at it trying to look at the fashion and be more photographic memory when it came to brands. You could feel something and go, this is good quality. Yeah. Also, just our own hobbies. You've been able to bring in more of the outdoor gear, the tents, the hiking bags. But then it's fun because then we'll go do product education and we'll go to, you know, a retail store, and he's like, see, this is what I keep sharing with you. This is a good sleeping bag, or this is a good hiking bag. These are the brands, and look at them at retail prices, which doesn't equate to resell, but it does help you start to see why they might hold their values in the resale market because of how expensive they are in the retail world. So it's been cool because I feel like we found our rhythm and our lanes in the same business, and we both can bring that together and just support the business even more, make it better in that regard. And yes, it's very comical watching him ship things. It's comical because it's fascinating at the same time. Like, oh my gosh, like, I'm gonna have some reels up soon of him packing some fades. I have learned so much.
I have learned to become a box builder. I did not know that was a skill that I had, but I have learned to become a box builder.
And I had never realized in my life that I would be so excited to see so many Amazon boxes at my door.
We need that. That's a perfect size. Like, look at that. Oh, that's a really odd shape. We can use that. Yeah, right? Yeah, for reals.
This is a fun question. How did you guys figure out where home was for your family? I never thought about this question before, so it was like, that's interesting.
You know, I think we met here.
Yeah.
You know, our kids have been born and raised here. We've been involved in various aspects of community for several years. You know, everything from the Chamber of Commerce to city to, you know, volunteer positions and things like that. The people in this area are just really good people. We definitely have come to love the area because of that. But I think we've also, you know, experienced some other areas where we thought, man, it would be neat to go there someday, or maybe move there or transition there. You know, it comes down to, I think, a big part of our faith, and really kind of having what we felt was a promise given to us a couple of years ago of, you know, if we stay in the land that God's blessed us with, then He'll bless us. And I think we've really begun to see the fruit of that. Yeah. And so when something like that just kind of drops in you in your core, like, well, I guess we can start maybe planting a tree, you know, or things that will be here 30 years from now, or, you know, and be able to enjoy it and have the kids enjoy it, and maybe the grandkids enjoy it and stuff like that. So we learned several years ago to just develop a permanent, flexible mindset. And so this is home until it's not.
Yeah.
And, you know, that can change at a moment for any number of reasons, but, you know, we don't see leaving here anytime soon.
Yeah. He answered that pretty well. I'll just put like 2 cents in. So how did you guys figure out where home was for your family? The quick, short answer of it was, being that we had 5 older kids with joint custody, there was no other option.
Yeah, and moving was not an option.
Moving was not an option. And when Jeff, actually, this is a different story for a different day, but when we first got married, or we were engaged, Jeff found out that his job at a federal entity out here was closing. And
that time for another one.
And he
Not just any job. It was my dream job as a
Yes.
full-time paid firefighter.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the only option to maintain that job was to move. And it was like move to Colorado, move to Pennsylvania. I
Right.
remember a lot on the East Coast. And it just wasn't an option for us
Right.
because we had 5 younger kids and we weren't going to leave them. So it, like he said, we had to grow into loving this area. It was kind of one of those, everything looks greener on the other side. There were many points that we'd go to other areas and be like, "Ah, this would be so nice if we lived out here." But I think it was because we had to go through some pretty suffering years. He couldn't quickly find a job that equated to the same income that he had before. And so we had to do a lot of things afraid. We had to get a lot of courage at times, but we did it for the kids. I think we really looked at this place and saw the beauty in it, even though we may have not. We're both not from Eastern Oregon. He's from California. I'm from the Portland metro area. And so this looks different. It has a similar feel from where the town I grew up in, but we had to learn to love the area. And now that we're at that season where the older kids have moved out and we have the 3 younger, a piece of us was like, well, do we move? But he really kind of elaborated on that. We actually finally got to a place where we do love this area. It would be very hard to move.
Good job with the short of it.
I know, I didn't mean to say all of that. Is buying and reselling your family's sole source of income, which we've kind of elaborated on, but...
It's not. It is definitely a big source of our income.
Yes.
Clearly we had a big source of income last year from fire season, unexpectedly. I think that, as if we have kind of those ebbs and flows, if I'm not available to help you full time with reselling, we're going to see a decline in that to some degree, and vice versa. Like right now is not fire season, but we definitely are seeing other streams of income that are, some just starting, some that are, have been building for the last couple of years, like with social media. Stay tuned for another one that we're
going to be doing.
Venturing into that we'll probably be sharing with you guys along the way. So just because we know that there's a lot of you out there that are looking to do the same thing, to be able to be self-sufficient, to be able to not have to work corporate America, to be able to kind of live life a little bit more on your terms. So, which
does kind of funnel into one of the other questions, so I'll ask that right now. But do you think the reselling business will grow more than last year? And so he's really kind of answering that right now. When you think about being an entrepreneur, one of the biggest tips I've always heard people say is have multiple streams of income. And typically they say, millionaires have five to seven, I believe, different streams of income. And it's like, well, how do you do that? When people come from corporate America and maybe it's a husband, wife, and there's only 2, like, how do you do 5? How do you do 7? So we've begun to realize and be introduced with different ways that we want to grow income. Even in reselling, we've got Poshmark, we have eBay. That's technically 2 different streams of income, even though it's the same inventory. And then we have social media, where we continue to teach you guys how to do this as well. That's now turning into a stream of income. We're constantly finding what other things we want to do. And so when fire season happened last year, reselling did slow down because I began to realize his was the mainstream of income at that point, and I really needed to be more in the stay-at-home mom focus because we weren't cleaning the house together, we weren't cooking this, together. So a lot of it fell on me, and so we see ebbs and flows in different seasons where the business is still growing, but then at other seasons it might plateau. So I feel like the reselling will grow this year, but similar to last year, I had high aspirations of what the reselling business was going to do. At the beginning of the year, I had no anticipations that we were going to have basically a quarter where Jeff would be gone of the year. So it grew, but it didn't grow as much as I thought I was hoping it would. And I think with that in mind this year, I want it to grow. I believe it's going to grow because I feel like we've already seen that so far in this first quarter. But I think it's not going to grow. It's not going to go from like 100,000 to 150. I think we'll see growth in this year, but it's just not going to be a huge step.
I think it'll grow differently than what we've ever thought before because we've made some changes to our business model of what we're doing. We've gotten to a place, we were just talking about this the other day, where we've been able to establish a good baseline for our online stores. to where we can start being more picky with the things that we're picking up, and really now trying to grow what our average sales price is for every sale that occurs. And so, you know, we're able to be at a place of passing on some of the things we would have, you know, picked up in a heartbeat before. And so we're really trying to build that up. And so I think we're going to see growth, but not in the way that people typically think, like you have to scale up to grow.
Like you've got to list more items, you need to get more income or like pieces to see that income growth.
Right. Where I think we're at a place of really striving to see less sales and less effort going out with more income coming in. And so I think we're going to see growth in that standpoint. And so it may actually be a transition from one to the other. And so it may be kind of almost a wash, but if you look at our time going out,
we'll have more time.
I think our time going out will decrease and the time available will increase.
If you follow other resellers on Instagram, you may see that some do this, but with reselling, a lot of people enjoy having the income coming in to then fund a different venture, whether it's real estate, whether it's the stock market, whether it's investing in other businesses, creating storefronts. There's a lot of things that people take the vehicle of reselling and then fund something else. And so I'm actually okay that if we saw a wash this year where we still hit 6 figures like we did last year, but like he said, I didn't have to photograph as many items. I didn't have to steam as many items. I didn't have to package as many items when he's not here. But we were able to maintain the same amount because we wanted to spend more time on building other streams of income. I'm okay with seeing kind of a slow pace going up on a yearly basis because we are adding in more streams of income than I think I would be if it just was all solely focused on reselling. You can absolutely do that. And I have a friend right now that she has done that, her and her husband, and they are totally hitting out the ballpark. I'm so proud of them. And I know that if we just put all of our focus into reselling, we could absolutely you know, do more in listings per day, ship more per day, but we want to also be mindful of making our money work for us when we are building our reselling business. Dream vacation, and if you could live anywhere, where would you live? It's kind of funny. You guys had some pretty like similar questions.
Good questions, yeah. We do have on our list this year, hopefully soon, to go to a very nice resort, which was the first place we went to a date where we went on a date.
Yes.
And so this is, you know, definitely taking things up a notch with the treatment and the spa, you know, all of that stuff. But I'd really love to go to Hawaii one day with you.
I am so glad you said Hawaii because I just saw a TikTok the other day that was saying beginning to lift all of their restrictions that they have had. And I actually just sent that to our son's girlfriend. So in 2020, we were all planning to do a wedding or go to Hawaii for a friend's wedding, a destination wedding. And it got canceled because of everything that happened. But they were planning to go with us and we were going to do a family trip to Hawaii. So when I saw that, I sent that to her and said, hey, if this is happening, we might have to put Hawaii back on the schedule. So yeah, I think that the kids would have a lot of fun. I think our younger kids are old enough now that they would really enjoy doing something like that.
They might not like the flight.
Oh, I think they would like the flight because they have good air.
It's a long flight.
It's long, but they generally have the TV, so like they could watch watch shows and they'd be perfectly fine. Yeah. Sounds like we might be going to Hawaii soon. Yes. And then if we could live anywhere, I think just really quick off the top of our heads, or at least off of mine, would be Idaho. Jeff's mom now lives over there. We've gotten to spend a lot of time over there. It's very similar to Eastern Oregon, but it has more trees, more outdoor activities. They're just more prepared for that. And I mean, we went what was that? Sledding. Snow tubing. Yeah. And they literally like created it. It was all from artificial snow that they had created. And they do a lot more of that over there. So we can do fun outdoor things and the kids are enjoying that more. So I just think it really helps support the outdoor life that we enjoy. And that would be the place that I would, off the top of my head, think. Which app is best to resell on?
eBay.
For the items he likes to sell, yes, absolutely. I always tell people it's definitely dependent on the types of stuff that you're selling. If you're a big sneaker person, neither of those, not Poshmark or eBay. I think, what is it, StockX? If you're into more of the designer ones, Grailed. Like, there's so many different reselling platforms out there. You really have to figure out what you enjoy selling and then figure out which platform your audience is on.
And I have to preface this with, I have had an eBay account since like 1998.
We used that when we started
like
selling,
that.
yeah.
And so, I was already familiar with eBay. Yeah, it can kind of really, like Ashley said, be whatever fits your interest, your forte. I mean, there's so many different platforms out there, and
if you want to do like kids clothing, solely kids clothing, then Kidizen is going to be the best one for you. So just find what it is that you want to do well, or you're already well versed in, and then start figuring out what platform is going to be best for that. Obviously, there are platforms that have more audiences on it. So Amazon obviously kind of takes the cake with the customer base, but eBay is probably like the top one, if I remember correctly. So,
well, and eBay is probably the most broad.
Yes,
you can really kind of sell anything there, but it may not be specialty to what you're trying to sell. And so you may have things that will sell better on another platform because of what your interest is, what your expertise is. So you just have to kind of feel it out and figure it out and see what works best for you.
Advice for people trying to make reselling their full-time job.
Don't try to do it all at once. Just build it consistently.
Yeah. So I'll couple with that. I started on Poshmark, and I did Poshmark for a year before I ever considered cross-listing to another platform. You want to get familiar. You want to build it strong. You don't want to do too many things at once. And you also want to make sure you save. So with that first year of Poshmark, I was juggling a full-time job. At home, we had 6 kids at the time. I was figuring out how to run the business by getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to list items, by spending my Saturdays or evenings after work photographing items, shopping during my lunch break. I figured out how to make the business work while I was still maintaining a full-time job. And I feel like we could have prepared a little bit more before I took the leap more seasonally. It was just the right thing for us to do, to have me let go of my full-time job when I did. But it only took me 2-3 months to match what my income was before. But you want to make sure you have a good base of inventory before you decide to take the leap, of savings. If you were to talk to someone in real estate and say, hey, I want to go into real estate, how do I do it? Commonly, one of the first things they say is make sure you have 6 to 8 months of your monthly expenses in savings. So you want to do something very similar to that with reselling, because you're going to have really amazing months, but you're going to have major dips. It is just like the real estate market in that regard. You are still working with commerce that is going to have ebbs and flows in the retail world. Being prepared in those ways, I think, will help you be able to make that transition a little more seamless.
Yeah, and I think just a couple of other elements to it is, one, just start. Just start with what you have your hands on. Like Ashley started with our kids' clothing. Just start somewhere. Start with what you know. Don't try to copy somebody else, because everybody has a strength. Everybody has an interest. Stick with that, because if you're not interested in it, you're going to only do it for so long.
You will burn out. I mean, you can burn out even if you enjoy it, but you will be even more disliking reselling if you're doing something you don't enjoy.
Realizing that if you're going to make a jump from working at a job full time, where you're working, say, 40 hours a week, you need to put that same amount of effort of 40 hours a week into this vehicle if you're planning for it to be your full-time main source of income.
Do you enjoy going thrifting?
Yes, and yes. Was that what it says? Do I enjoy it?
No, does he enjoy?
No, do I join her when she goes thrifting is what it's asking.
Okay.
And yes, and yes, if I can, any chance I get. And what?
If he can't go, he won't let me put anything up until he sees every piece. This is why this business is so good, you guys.
and that's why we started doing the hauls together, so she can
Yep.
make the most of the time.
This is why we
She only has
started
to
to
go
do the
through it
reactions.
once, and
Yeah. Because I'm not kidding. I would literally have to go through and show Jeff every single thing before I would even come here and film. And that's why I was like, all right, we're just going to do both of them at the same time.
There have been a few times you haven't, and I have to wait till I see the video, and oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you weren't happy about that. All right. So one of the things that I wrote down, because I've had a couple people ask, is what is the status on selling cars? Where are we? That's another endeavor we're doing with reselling now, is Jeff is getting back into flipping cars.
Right. So if you've watched the other video about the unboxing of the Escalade, we have had to do some repairs on it, and we've kind of decided we're invested in that vehicle for us.
Yeah.
We definitely like it. Instead of selling the Escalade, reselling that we're selling something we've had.
So we are going to be selling the van that he has, as well as the white car that I had, the Expedition. We've been just needing to fix a couple things for a while, and we just decided it was going to be worth selling that as well. So we'll actually have two vehicles that we'll be selling, flipping. Right. One of the vehicles essentially will help fund his driver once we have that sold. Right. And then the other vehicle selling will be then the cash flow that we will have to then flip another vehicle. That's where we are on the status of cars, and we'll keep you updated as we have.
Good question though.
That is it for this video. If you guys liked this, leave a thumbs up and a comment down below if you'd like to see any other videos like this, or if you had any questions that maybe came up as we were talking, feel free to put those down below as well, because if you guys like this, we can do another one. So we'll see you guys in our next video.
Bye.
Bye.